Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about multiplying binomials. Now if that's kind of a weird looking word to you, you're not too familiar with what it means, check out the video before this on the channel that asks the question, what is a binomial? It's pretty good if you're unfamiliar. But let's say we want to multiply x plus 5 with the binomial x minus 2. Now usually, whenever we talk about multiplying something with a binomial, it's like we have a 3 out here and it needs to multiply to both of the terms in the binomial, something like that. A little more basic distributive property stuff. It gets a little weird though whenever we look at a problem like this, where we're multiplying 2 terms by another 2 terms. We're adding like an extra kind of step in there. So how do we do that? Well, it's kind of like an extended version of the distributive property. What we say is that we need both terms in our binomial to multiply both terms in our second binomial. A little more specifically, it means that this x needs to multiply both of these, and this 5 needs to multiply both of those. And then we make a big expression with the products of each of those multiplications. Now the thing is, that probably sounds pretty fancy and complex, and like there's a lot of words there and a lot of multiplying you're talking about. What exactly is it that we do? Well, luckily, there is a mnemonic device that makes this multiplication process much easier, much more straightforward. And that's what we are going to utilize today. Odds are you've probably heard of this mnemonic device before. It is called FOIL. The question is, what does FOIL mean? And how does it help us with this crazy sounding multiplication that we were talking about? Well, each one of these letters has a term that it stands for. F stands for first. O stands for outside. I stands for inside. And L stands for last. Now, that's great to know that, but what do those words mean? How do they relate to our binomials? Well, here's how it goes. If we look at first, this word tells us the first multiplication that we need to do in evaluating this set of multiplication, in finding our expression from the products of it. First tells us to look at the first terms of each binomial. So what would you call the first term of this binomial? Yeah, that's x right here, right? And what's the first term of this binomial? It's also x. So that means these are going to be the 2 terms we multiply. They are the 2 first terms, so we are going to multiply them. X times x. What's that? Yeah, you're right. That is x squared. I'm going to write that in black marker just so it's a little bit more visible here. So we're done with our first step. 1 of 4 multiplications down. Let's take a look at our second step that is called outside. Now what do you think outside might refer to? Think about that. What 2 terms from up here might you consider as outside? Well, outside means the 2 outermost numbers. So if we look at this as one big long multiplication problem or one long expression, whatever, we want the 2 numbers on the outside. What would those be? Well, on the outside, on the left-hand side, is x. So that's going to be one of our terms we want to multiply. On the outside of our right-hand side is going to be -2. And don't forget, you want to keep that minus sign with it to make it negative. So those are going to be the 2 terms we want to multiply. X times -2. our two outside terms, or our two outermost terms? Well, what's x times negative 2? Yeah, negative 2x. Then we can take a look at our next one, inside. You can probably guess what this one means, especially now that we talked about the outside terms. But inside is going to mean the innermost terms. Again, if we look at this as one big long expression, one big set of numbers, what are the two inside terms, the two innermost ones? Well, that would be positive 5 and x. These are the terms that are on the inside. So they're going to multiply each other. 5 times x is going to give us positive 5x. Now finally, and again, you can probably guess this one too, but we want to do the last terms. Now this refers to the last term of each binomial. The last term of each. So the last term of our first binomial is going to be positive 5, and the last term of our second binomial is going to be negative 2. So therefore, those are going to be the numbers we want to multiply together. 5 times negative 2 is going to make negative 10. Okay, so we have multiplied all 4 times. We have finished with all the multiplication. We have an expression down here, kind of a big long expression, that it should be representative of the answer to this set of multiplication. But are we done? Not quite, but very close. Here's the deal. You may notice we have like terms in our expression down here. And I'll say 95% of the time when you are foiling or you're multiplying binomials, you're going to notice that the two interior terms are probably going to be alike in the sense that both of them have the same variable configuration, meaning that both of these just have an x with them. Therefore, they can combine. If you need to know a little more about combining like terms, there's a video on the channel that you can go to address that as well. But we know that since those two terms can combine, we can kind of put their coefficients together. Negative 2x plus 5x is going to make positive 3x. Now, why didn't the x squared change? There's no other x squared to combine it with. Same thing with the negative 10. There was no other whole number there to combine it with. So those stay the same. But since these two are like terms, then they're going to combine. And this is our final expression. This is our solution, or our product, to multiplying these two binomials. It is an equivalent way of writing this expression. Now, foiling is something that you're going to be using a lot in high school algebra classes. It's going to come up all the time. So I would definitely recommend trying to familiarize yourself with this mnemonic device and with the operation of actually foiling binomials. We're going to have a second video strictly going over some practice problems and making sure we know how to do them and we're able to do them correctly. If you have any questions about this, feel free to drop them below in the comments. I'll get back as soon as I can. But otherwise, thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for our practice video.